The Adventurer's Log 1.1103.20. Hi, I'm Bobby. We're going to be talking about Doctor Strangelove today. But before we get to that, let's get into this day in tech history. On November 3rd, 1957, the Soviet Union launches Sputnik 2, the second spacecraft launched into Earth orbit and the first spacecraft to carry a living creature into orbit. Laika, a Siberian husky dog, unfortunately only survived a few hours into the flight and died from stress and overheating. The Soviets had planned to euthanize Laika regardless, as Sputnik 2 did not have deorbiting or re-entry technology designed into the spacecraft. So, that's today's history. We're going to get into Dr. Strangelove. It is technically not sci-fi. It's more of a comedy. I don't know. It's more of just a conversation piece on military at the time, but it does kind of go into today's tech history. So Doctor Strangelove is about a bomb that is being, well, it is about a general going nuts with paranoia and starting basically World War III, and launching all the B-52 fighters to attack Russia. And he closes off his base and says if anybody comes to the base, they're all Soviet communist spies and not to let anybody take them alive, basically. Um, and then the rest of the movie is the president at the time dealing with that and the other generals dealing with that, as well as a crew on one of the B-52s following orders. So, Doctor Strangelove is a brilliant bit of celluloid genius and a true classic, in every sense of the word. Nominated for 4 Academy Awards, including Best Picture of 1964. Stanley Kubrick's black comedy about a group of paranoia-inspired war-happy generals who managed to initiate an accidental nuclear apocalypse. It is horribly frightening, delightfully funny, and surprisingly relevant to this day. It is PG, so there's really not much language. It's more slapstick comedy with a little bit of fear thrown in there. At the time, the B-52s were pretty much top secret, like, not top secret, they were of national security. So when the military read the script, they said, we're not helping. And the only way that the set designers were able to get a B-52 bomber cockpit, they reconstructed it from a single photograph that appeared in a British flying magazine. When some American Air Force personnel were invited to view the movie's B-52 cockpit, they said it was a perfect copy. Stanley Kubrick feared that Ken Adams' production design team had used illegal methods and could have been investigated by the FBI. And because it was a matter of national security, the military really didn't want to help at all. So the planes that we see flying from outside the plane, they're models. So I found that pretty neat. This is also the very first film debut of James Earl Jones, so that's pretty neat. The film led to actual changes in policy to ensure that events depicted in this could never really occur in real life. So that's pretty neat. You know, they're like, oh yeah, this couldn't happen, but then they turned around and changed policies so it wouldn't happen. And while they were shooting aerial footage over Greenland, the 2nd Unit camera crew accidentally filmed a secret U.S. military base that was there at the time. Their plane was forced down and the crew was suspected of being Soviet spies. So there's the B-52 cockpit is one of the film locations. There's an office of one of the generals. Then there's the war room. The war room is actually modeled after or is inspired by the 1927 movie Metropolis. scene here. It's just very black and white, very sharp edges, very 1930s view of the future. Um, and specifically the circles and all of that. So it's a neat throwback, and I'll put that on my list to actually review. But that is a pretty good movie too. It's kind of hard to follow because it's kind of out there, but it's pretty good. Doctor Strangelove is really funny, and not many people on the set knew it was supposed to be a comedy. Like Slim Pickens, who plays one of the commanders on one of the B-52s, the one that's shown throughout the movie. He didn't know it was a comedy, so he was reading all of his lines straight, and until the movie premiered, he had no clue. He said that if he had known that, he would have gone just a little different route, but it was well done, his parts. You've got Peter Sellers in it. He actually plays 3 different characters in the movie, which was pretty neat because he was, as Kubrick said it, I think he said, I got the price of 3. Yeah, I got the price of 3 characters for. I got 3 characters for the price of 6, or something like that, along those lines. But Peter Sellers was not the type of person that would like to go over scenes again and again and again. Normally, because he was a comedy actor, normally he would do his bit and go on to the next scene. And so Kubrick, a lot of times, had him go back over him. And Kubrick got to the point where, or Peter Sellers got to the point where he told Kubrick, all right, I'm just going to do my spiel. You need to just film it. And so Kubrick got to the point where he would have 3 or 4 cameras just trained on him and just film whatever happens, because the character Dr. Strangelove, which we don't see till pretty much towards the end of the movie, which is kind of ironic because the movie's about him. He has, I can't remember what it's called, but he's got a dissociation where his hand does its own thing. And so there's several times when Peter Sellers is being Dr. Strangelove where his hand is doing its own thing, and he's fighting it, he's biting it, and he's hitting it, and it's pretty neat. It's worth watching. Like I said, it's a classic. And then George C. Scott is in this. He's also really funny. I'm not wanting to give too much away, but George C. Scott plays Joint Chief of Staff Buck Turgidson. Then you've got Sterling Hayden, who plays Air Force Strategic Commander Jack Ripper, who's the one who actually causes the whole movie to start as it did, who orders a bomber squadron to attack the USSR, triggering a Soviet secret weapon, the Doomsday Machine, a diabolical retaliatory missile system. Peter Sellers portrays a trio of men who attempt to avert the catastrophe. British Captain Lionel Mandrake, the only person with access to paranoid General Ripper. U.S. President Muffley, whose best attempt at diverting the disaster depends on convincing a boozed-up Soviet premier it's all a silly mistake. And the president's advisor, Dr. Strangelove, a demented ex-Nazi scientist. Can any one of them possibly save the world? It's worth taking a look. It's a very funny movie, and it is meant to be a comedy, but at the same time, it definitely talks about, honestly, current day things. You know, having paranoid people in control of certain stuff. It's very prevalent to today's day still. Granted, military has so many checks and balances that can't happen, what happens in the movie, but just the thought that now or even then that there was someone of high significance who could reroute certain orders or whatever and start essentially World War III. That's a little scary, and it still holds up to today. But it is a comedy, so check it out. It's very funny. Like I said, PG. I have the movie. I don't know, not sure exactly where else you can find it, but it's a very good movie. That's all I have for today. So take a chance and explore something new or old, but new to you. Adventure is out there. Go find it. I'll see y'all tomorrow.